it is, frankly, inconvenient. Human persons, from their earliest days, poisoned in the womb and dismembered limb from limb. Bodies thrown in medical waste bins and, in places like Washington, D.C., burned to power the lights of the city's homes and streets. Let that image sink in with you for a moment. The next time you turn on the light, think of the incinerators. Think of what we're doing to ourselves so callously and so numbly.
And so dishonestly, because what you just heard, of course, has no basis in fact. That was congressional testimony from Catherine Glenn Foster, who is simultaneously a complete and utter weirdo rando and also considered an expert in this area. She's a Georgetown Law graduate, earns more than $190,000 a year as the president of an anti-choice group who believes that there are wheelbarrows full of aborted fetuses being burned in incinerators throughout DC to provide electricity. That is utter madness, but honestly, we shouldn't be surprised by this. They've spent years on the right convincing people, convincing over 1/3 of Americans that most elite Democrats have a national ring that collects babies to sexually assault and then cannibalize, to eat their faces or wear their faces, whatever madness you want. And if you could convince people that that is true, you could probably convince them that they're powering their lights off of aborted fetuses. It's utter madness. It has no part in any of this, but honestly, it's not even a mistake to take a conversation that should be about people's rights and the effect that stripping away those rights will have on them. But they don't want to have that conversation because, as we've already pointed out, they've lost on that. They've tried to convince people on the topic of abortion for more than 50 years, and they have failed at every step along the way. People don't support their position, so instead, you make the conversation about something utterly mad. And that's what they're doing here. This isn't based on anything. DC's power generation comes from natural gas, coal, and nuclear power plants. And honestly, I hate myself for even listing those facts because we shouldn't have to fact check that they're powering the nation's capital on aborted fetuses. Yes, if you wanted to Google it, you could find out that that is not true. But honestly, if you have to, there's something wrong with you as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, John, you're right, but like, as always, I would go further. Yes, now it's forcing every news organization to fact check that they're not powering the energy grid with dead babies. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, total insanity. You don't have to fact check that. That's like saying, okay, I think the earth is powered by Ted Cruz's butt. Well, actually, we've checked with the scientists and it's really the gravity and the moon and the blah, blah, and it turns out it is not. It's and a little bit of Uranus, but not Ted Cruz's anus. Like, we have to fact check this stuff? Are you insane? Look, guys, if you believe that aborted fetuses are powering Washington, D.C.'s electric grid, I'm not at all joking. You are crazy, like literally, physically crazy.
A danger to yourself and others.
You are, you need to get mental health counseling immediately. I'm not joking at all. You've lost, you're detached from reality, you're in a cult, and you need help. This is not, and you can go fact check that, okay? Go around asking people, hey, what do you think, man? What else do they power with aborted fetuses? No, you guys, you're lunatics. That woman you're looking at right there is absolutely out of her mind. I hope she's lying, because if she's not lying, she should be in an insane asylum, quite literally, okay? And you know what? No one responded. She was the star witness for the Republicans. They brought someone from an insane asylum. Oh, I thought you were and then the Democrats like, oh, okay, next witness.
No, Jake, I saw right wingers spreading videos of her testimony saying that she destroyed Democratic congresspeople with this testimony.
No, but guys, that's because I'm telling you, a giant percentage of Republicans, and hence a huge percentage of the country, has lost their freaking minds. 52% of Republicans, a majority of Republicans, believe that the Democratic Party is led by satanic followers who are leading a pedophile ring. As a majority of Republicans have lost their goddamn minds. You think that the Biden, first of all, couldn't wake up from his nap, let alone worship Satan, let alone the rings and stuff. You think that Biden and Pelosi and Schumer, they get together like, oh, now all hail Satan. If you think that, you're nuts. I can't stand those guys. You watch Young Turks any day, and I'll just rip Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer in 1,000 different ways. But if you think they're doing a child molestation ring and that's their whole purpose, and it's because of Beelzebub, you're in a cult. Go get help.
Yeah, they can't even pass basic legislation in a Congress they control, let alone get it together to hide an entire pedophile ring. Can you imagine? No, it'd be terrible. They would, then you got Manchin and he'd be like, no, we gotta do it like this, we gotta do it like that. It'd be a whole thing. Yeah. They would have a lot of negotiating to do on that. I just wanna point out that this is the conclusion of the denialism around climate change and renewable energy. It's like, how can we make everyone hate abortion and renewables? Ooh, I know. Fetuses are renewables. Bing, like I love the consultant that was hired to develop that line, who's just been huffing glue all day. It's incredible. And the reality is, and this is a sad reality, if you cared, if you were actually pro-life, you would know that fossil fuels and contamination and pollution and air quality claims millions of American lives, specifically children's lives. Yeah. The lack of clean drinking water claims babies' lives. If you claim to care about babies, ergo, we should be weaning off of things like fossil fuels or fracking technology and all that terrible stuff that spews incredible amounts of CO2 into the atmosphere. We should actually be moving to renewables. So, and honestly, if fetuses could power, if abortions could power anything, it would power like a light bulb for half a second. The amount of abortions that the right imagines people have is so absurd. And the reality is that no, there are not that many abortions happening, but when they need to happen, they damn need to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, on that note, real quick, 99% of abortions happen before the first 5 months, okay? It's 99%. So the 1%, no, because I tell you that because there's a nonstop lie factory on the right wing. So they make it seem like most abortions happen in what they're calling, and I swear to God, I mean, Ted Cruz, a sitting United States senator, said this: post-birth abortions. That's not even a thing. That doesn't even make sense. But that and the crazy glue huffing consultant that Francesca referred to that came up with the idea that they're powering the electric grid with this. They all do it because their base assumption is that their voters are deeply unintelligent, deeply ignorant, and borderline like mental patients. So when the consultant knows it's not true, and when he says after sniffing his glue, like, hey, what do you think? Mitch McConnell and other Republicans and Donald Trump and whoever else, hey, and I don't know that they're in the room, but whoever they are, right? And they get together and they're like, what do you think? I made up the most outlandish thing I could possibly think of, that they're taking the aborted fetuses and somehow they're powering, and which city should we say? Oh, Washington, because they hate Washington, right? I mean, whatever, and then they all look around and go, yeah, I think our voters are that stupid. Let's give it a shot.
Yep.
And it turns out, based on the reaction to her video clip online, the right wing's like, man, you were right, we are that dumb. That is unbelievable. Go get help, go to a therapist's office, break the cult that you're in because you've lost your goddamn mind.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.